I am JDWolf, and welcome to the advanced overview of the weapons in XCOM EW Long War mod Beta 13. This video is to serve as a substitute for my original weapons overview. So in this overview we will be going into the weapons groups, damages, ranges, mobility effects, and costs of each weapon. This video is strictly for soldier carried pistols and rifles. So let's talk about damage. Each weapon has a damage number. This one, for the kinetic strike module, for example, is 12. The way damage is determined in the game is critical damage is additional damage that is half that number, in this case 6. The final damage is 75% to 125% of the base damage plus the critical damage if a critical hit was scored. Now, let's move on to range. In order for me to effectively communicate to you these values, you need to understand how mobility and weapon ranges work in the game. Okay, first of all, a single tile in the game is 1.5 meters square. Range and mobility are shown in meters. So it should be a simple matter of dividing a given value by 1.5 to determine the number of tiles being referred to. But when you do this, you do not get the expected result. The range of a sawed-off shotgun is 3 meters, so you should be able to shoot someone 2 tiles away. But you can't. The range is really only 1 tile. Similarly, visual range is set at 27 meters. 27 divided by 1.5 equals 18, but in the game you can only see out 17 tiles. What I have determined through research and experimentation is that the calculations are being reduced by a very small fraction. I suspect this has something to do with a meter being divided into 64 unreal units and a slight error in the math such that the result is 1/64th or 0.016 less than it should be. So, my theory is that the visual range is being calculated as 17.984. Now, I say error because this could very well be intentional to give the visual range a smoother appearance, and I'll show you that later. Unfortunately, this error affects all range calculations, including movement. Now, why do I say it's reduced by such a small number instead of 1? Because as you will see, fractions of movement reveal this behavior. Let's see this in action and you'll see what I mean. Take Molly, for example. As you can see, outfitted as she has a mobility of 12. 12 divided by 1.5 equals 8. So she should be able to move 8 tiles in a blue move and 16 tiles in a gold move in a straight line. There should be no difference if you take the blue and gold moves separately or together as one big move. However, what I contend is that we need to subtract 0.016 so that a blue move is 7.984, a gold move is 15.984. And in addition, taken separately, the moves will be shorter than if taken together as one big move. So let's take a look and see which theory is correct. So here we are. Diagonal movement requires some math. So let's go ahead and look at only in a straight line. If I move her straight ahead, she can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles. So, though her mobility tells me that her blue move should be 8, it's actually 7. Also notice it's a very solid 7, as movement to the side is still 7. Now, how much more is the gold move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 plus 8 is 15, so instead of 16 tiles, double her mobility, it's 15 tiles. Again, a solid 15 going across, and she can reach that cover. Now, let's test this math again by moving her the blue move and see if she can still reach that cover. No, she cannot. It's 1 short. Let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 solid tiles, but not 8. So not only are we being shorted the last tile bit of movement, we are also, by virtue of this, not able to move as far in 2 moves as we were in a single double move. as the math error gets applied twice instead of once. So again, why not just subtract 1? Let's try a couple more experiments. So first, let's increase her mobility to 13 by equipping her with a pistol. If we apply our formula, we get 8.65. That is a solid blue move of 8. If I were subtracting 1, it would give a solid blue move of 7. So does she have a solid 8 or a solid 7? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see it goes across. It is a solid 8. Not quite as solid when it was 0.9. Since it's 0.6, you see that left corner is kind of diagonal. Okay, now let's try and equip her with some tack armor and drop her mobility down to 11. Using our formula, that gives us 7.317, which is a blue move of 7. If correct, this would be a low 7, and diagonal moves would drop away quickly. And here we are. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you see how she can barely reach 7 straight ahead. A diagonal move of 7 will not reach. And this is the reason that I think they implemented this, so that at visual range you don't have this single little piece poking out of your visual field. It makes the moves smoother and what have you, but what it's doing is it's robbing us of that 1/64th of a meter that we need to actually get where we need to go, especially if we make 2 moves instead of 1 long move. So how do we apply this practically? Well, we just need to keep 2 things in mind. First, if your soldier's mobility is evenly divisible by 1.5, he will not quite be able to move the full extent of his movement in a straight line. Secondly, for any soldier, a blue move plus a gold move may be slightly less than a single long dash if they're at the very extent of their movement. Now, let's talk about the weapons. First, we have the ballistic weapons. These weapons, except for the sawed-off shotguns, are all the weapons that you get free in the game when you first start. I've compiled a new chart for these weapons to show the additional values. So let's talk about the columns that we have. First, we have the name. Then we have the damage. We talked about damage earlier. Next, we have the environmental damage. Just look at that as it relates to each other. Next, we have the range. I've already applied this calculation. So you have the range in tiles and the range in the game in meters. So always remember those meters are going to be just a smidgen less than they are showing here. That includes the reaction range, which applies to Overwatch shots. Aim is the aim bonus that you get, or a penalty in this case, for the sawed-off shotgun, machine pistol, and battle rifle for using that weapon. Crit is your base critical chance. Ammo is your ammunition with and without ammo conservation. The new columns here, we have the mobility effect of taking that weapon. So if you take a sawed-off shotgun, you'll have 1 less movement than if you went with a pistol, which you saw a minute ago. Next, we have the cost in dollars, which I guess is millions of dollars basically, alloy and allurium. In this case, the sawed-off shotgun has a 0. Everything else is free. And the build time in days, sawed-off shotgun takes 1 day to build, but they don't cost anything. And the last column is your minimum number of engineers required to build. And again, all these weapons have no engineer requirement. So let's talk about these. You have the sawed-off shotgun, which I really love. It does a ton of damage over the pistol. It only works for guys right next to you, but it's awesome. The machine pistol, but it has -15. The machine pistol will go out farther, but has a -10 over the pistol, but it's still better than a pistol if you can get over the -1 to mobility. Now that's -1 is -1 meter. So remember, a tile is 1.5 meters. So just because you have mobility of -1, you saw the effects from the video of just a -1 plus 1 extra meter. Which is 2/3 of a tile. Next, we have the battle rifle. Early in the game, I would not suggest using a battle rifle for anyone, no matter what your aim is. You need to have like an aim. I mean, you don't have scopes yet. You have a laser sight. A laser sight can take 5 off of that. If you have a scope and a laser sight, you can go back up to your native figure, which would be pretty good. It does do 1 more point than an assault rifle and has a better chance to crit, has more ammo, but it does slow you down 1. The carbine is one less point of damage, and really with the damage resistance of the aliens, I wouldn't recommend it. A lot of people like it for the extra 1 point of mobility. Some take the SMG. The SMG, I mean, it does basically the same damage as a machine pistol or something like that, but it has a big boost in mobility. It doesn't give you the pluses to aim that the carbine does, but it gives you tremendous mobility. So you can get around, but then once you manage to shoot something, unless it has like 1 hit point or 2, you're not taking it down. Next, of course, we have the shotgun, which is awesome for close encounters. The marksman rifle. Now, the marksman rifle is basically what you can give a scout to give them like a sniper rifle. It will shoot, as you can see, 6 tiles. They say it's going to shoot 5 tiles beyond visual range. It actually shoots 6 tiles beyond visual range. Same for the LMG. And then you have the typical sniper rifle. You can see you have the range and the reaction range. The reaction range now on the sniper rifle is only within visual range. So you cannot shoot a sniper shot outside of visual range any longer using squad sight. So let's talk about the SAW and the LMG for your gunner. The SAW is your good gun. It's your regular gun, just like you're used to using. The LMG is now new. It does 1 more point of damage than the SAW does. However, you cannot move and shoot. It's a setup weapon. You have to stay in position. You can steady it for better aim if you want to as well. And you see the corresponding reductions in mobility over there on the right. Personally, every time I take the LMG, I wish I had a SAW. And very rarely do I take the SAW and wish I had an LMG, so I don't recommend the LMG, even though it does do an additional point of damage. Going back to the marksman rifle, I do like it for a scout. I think it's awesome. It does more damage than an assault rifle, and the scout can use it, get in position, and actually shoot beyond visual range. So it's pretty cool. Next we have the beam lasers. They're 1 step up over. They do basically all do 1 additional point of damage. This is what they look like. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. So here we have the laser weapons. As you can see, they are basically the same as in the ballistic weapons, except there's no sawed-off shotgun. You do have a heater, which is the equivalent of the machine pistol. The damages have all been upped by 1. Also, the heater has a reaction range of only 9 tiles. The aims are the most significant feature, in that everything is bumped up by 7 over the previous iteration over the ballistic weapons. So that means that I can take a heavy laser rifle with -8. If I equip it with a scope and a laser sight, I'm ahead of the game. Hell, I equip it with a scope, I'm at +2 over my raw aim. And in addition to that, if you just use a regular laser rifle, everybody who's using it gets a +7. In other words, this is the only time a heavy laser rifle is the... I would not recommend using the heavy rifle from the ballistics, but the heavy laser rifle, I do have a recommendation for that. It does do an additional point of damage, has a better chance to critical. The aim is only -8. It does give you -1 mobility, but that extra damage is going to come in really handy. Now our last 3 columns are the cost. You can see they're in the $30, $50, $80 range. The time to build is about 2 weeks, week and a half to 2 weeks. The engineers to build, though, if you want a heavy laser rifle, you got to get to 20. And so if you rush those lasers and you get them out there, you may not be able to build some of these items until you get those engineers, depending on how your engineers are building up. Here are the Gauss weapons. To get these, you need experimental warfare and alien materials. These weapons, again, do 1 additional point of damage. The range is basically the same as before. The alloy cannon is your shotgun in the Gauss weapons. The main thing, once we hit the aim, you can see that there is no bonus to the aim. There's actually a -15 for the heavy Gauss rifle, +7 for the Gauss carbine, so you're back to the way it was before. So it's 1 point of more damage than the beam laser weapons, but you don't get the bonus to aim that you did before. The critical chance is pretty good. Good ammo. Mobility is about the same. The Gauss sniper rifle actually has an additional minus to mobility, and the ammo without ammo conservation on the sniper rifle is one shot and reload. So that is pretty severe. The cost, as you can see, is in the 1 to 200 range. 200 for the alloy cannon. With, in this case, Allurium in addition to alloy. The build time is still 2 weeks, but you see the number of engineers you need to build is somewhere in the 30 to 40 range. 40 being for the heavy Gauss rifle. So as far as a recommendation goes, I would skip these and try to go straight to pulse weapons and not waste the cash on getting these Gauss weapons, because they do have the minuses to, I mean, not minuses to aim, but the bonuses that you had to the beam lasers. Now all of a sudden you don't have them anymore, and it's back to the equivalent of the ballistics. These are basically ballistic weapons, better ballistic weapons. Next we have the pulse laser weapons. These follow directly down the tree from the beam lasers. Again, the names are the same. The damage is up another one, such that your scatter blaster, which is basically your pulse laser shotgun, is up to 9 points of damage. Environmental damage is really decent. The ranges are still about the same. The aim, you again have lost the aim that you had from the beam laser weapons, so it's similar to the Gauss, but this is 1 more point of damage above the Gauss weapons. So it is worth it to get that. This is a big jump, and it's just 1 point below plasma. The critical chance to hit is really high. Good ammo. Sniper rifle has 4 and 3 instead of 2 and 1. Mobility is about the same. The cost is in the 1 to 210, 220 credit range. It does cost a good amount of Allurium and a good amount of alloy in the 20 range for each. You need to, that way. But having this information, you can plan out how much Allurium you're going to need to build those weapons, how much cash you're going to need also. Again, the build time is a couple of weeks, but the engineers required to build them is in the 60 range. So if you rush to pulse lasers and you don't have the engineers to support it, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So be sure you get those requirements in, and you are definitely going to be able to make it, especially for whatever weapon that you're aiming for. Finally, we have the plasma weapons. This is true alien tech. There are a lot of requirements to be able to research plasma weapons, but even with the prerequisites on the research tree, you also have to have, I believe, 5 plasma weapons in order to be able to research the plasma. So you're going to have to do the captures. If you want plasma, you need to get on those captures early and get all the plasma pistols, rifles, carbines that you can get. If we look at the stats here, you see they're all up 1 point of damage over the pulse weapons, which has led a lot of people to say, well, I'm just going to skip plasma altogether, because if you look at the cost, they're up in the 500s each to buy. Now, if you've captured that many, if you've captured enough, if you've captured 10 of them, then you have 5 that you can use to research, you have 5 that you can use in battle, and you're good to go. But if you can capture them, great. If you can't, here are the costs. You don't get bonuses to aim or anything like that. The plasma mauler is noteworthy because it's similar to the sawed-off shotgun. It doesn't do any more damage than the sawed-off shotgun, but you can shoot across the map with it as a pistol, doing 6 points of damage. You have minus 10 to aim, just like the plasma pistol. Mobility's down 2, but because of the extra damage, and it's 230 for basically a pistol. If you look at the costs, like I said, they're in the 500 range. They cost 20 to 30 Allurium, 30 alloy. The build is 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and the engineers are around 100 engineers. So this is definitely very, very late game, and it is possible to win the game and finish it out using only pulse weapons. And that would be my suggestion, which is just stick with the pulse weapons. If the plasma weapons fall into your lap, you're able to research them, you're able to buy them because you have money burning a hole in your pocket, and you have plenty of engineers to go and build them, then go ahead and upgrade. But as far as derailing your plans in order to get plasma weapons, Pulse is a lot easier to get. They're human tech. They fall right up the tree, and you're able to get them, a lot easier than the plasma weapons. Now, this is a lot of data. If I've made any errors, please leave a comment below. Guys, if you're watching this, go ahead and look through the comments below to be sure you have all the information that you could possibly need to make an informed decision about how you want to equip your troops for the battle ahead. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, stay safe.